Today, we're in the biggest Macy's in the world, and guess what we're gonna do after we walk through this piano? Sorry, I ruined your song.
Wow, jerk.
So we're going to talk about exactly how to buy multifamily real estate anywhere in the world. Let's get into that topic because I know a lot of you folks are gonna be excited about it. Step one, come on folks, you saw the other video. If not, click up here. You gotta have a job, you gotta have money. You can't do this without a job and money. You guys already know that, so let's get right into step two and let's get into the details. Oh, and by guys, I mean guys and girls. According to the dictionary, it's both now, so sorry if anybody was offended. So the first thing you have to do is you really have to decide what do you want to do and what kind of involvement do you want. So there are 4 parts to step number 2 here. The first idea or option, and this is the most involved, is you can live in your multifamily real estate. The second option is you could just straight up buy it as a rental. The third option is you could do a partnership. And the fourth option, you can see how this is going in like decreasing intensity of effort that you have to put out. The fourth option is literally the easiest. Give your money to somebody else to invest and let them do all the work for you.
Oh, that's kind of like what Grant Cardone does, right?
So now if you go with option number 4 from step 2, that is just give your money to somebody else to invest, well, you're done. That's it. You can click out of the video because number 1, you make money. Number 2, you pick your path. And if that path is give your money to somebody else to invest, well, then you're done. You don't need to keep watching the video. So really what's left now is you're either going to live in the property, you're going to rent out the property entirely, or you'll do a partnership and rent out the property. So this is where step 3 comes up, financing and the type of financing.
So basically, if I don't want to give my money away to somebody else to invest it for me, I have to keep watching the video.
See, much like deciding whether you're in the women's section or you're in the men's section, you have to figure out if you want to do residential or commercial. In the United States, any properties that have less than 5 units on one lot are considered residential deals, as long as they're multifamily.
But I don't want to do the small deal. What benefit is there?
Best rates, best loan terms, and lowest fees are almost always going to be in residential. In residential, that's where you're going to see those 30-year fixed rate mortgages where you're not worried about the payment changing over time, and you're usually not worried about things like variable interest rates. On the other hand, you got to get commercial financing. This is usually where you're stuck dealing with like 5 or 7 year variable option loans and generally loan terms that are no longer than 10 to 15 years. That is, you have to pay them off after 10 to 15 years or refinance, which remember, what was the big problem in 2008? People having to suddenly pay off loans. So now that's not to party poop on commercial style financing. Commercial style financing can be good. In commercial style financing, you do usually have to put more money down. You might have to put down, say, 30 to 40% to make the deal work. That is, though, a big perk of residential style financing, so getting those smaller deals.
Wait, was I supposed to catch a benefit of doing commercial deals? Because I didn't.
You want to start, A, with money, B, deciding how much involvement you want, and then C, deciding where you want to end up. This is definitely not the floor I wanted to end up on. Now, step 4, once you start realizing, okay, I have a pretty good idea that I don't want to give my money to somebody else, I want to do it myself. And then you decide either to live in it, buy it as a rental straight up, or maybe you want to do a partnership. You're going to have to realize step number 4. Step number 4 is you got to make some credit decisions that are going to leave you with credit to where you can actually buy something. Because unless you have decent credit, you and your partners ain't gonna qualify for anything. So that's why having credit established, paying off your debts, paying off your credit cards all the time is so important. Now, it might sound nice that, oh, you know, you could take the approach of, oh, just buy real estate cash, but then you're totally missing out on the leverage benefit of real estate, which is another thing to consider when it comes to credit. I mean, look at it this way. You buy a 3-unit apartment building for $400,000. You put 10% down because you're gonna live in it, you're gonna house hack it. That's 40 grand. Say you went in 45 grand, had some closing costs. Then let's say real estate prices go up 10% over whatever period of time. You literally just got 100% of your investment back in net worth. Now, obviously, it doesn't consider things like selling costs or whatever else. But if you think about it, after that point, all the wealth you build is really just return, cash flows return, net worth buildings return, everything's return beyond that. That's the beauty of leverage in real estate. This is why you'll never see syndications buying properties cash. They always leverage. Even if that means they're putting 40% down and they're getting a loan for 60%, they're still using debt because that's where you make the big bucks in real estate.
Oh, I never thought about it that way before. 10% down, value goes up 10% and I don't sell. It's kind of like I got all my money back in net worth. Unlike stocks where I put 40 grand in and it goes up 10%, I get 4 grand back because I'm only controlling 40K instead of 400K.
Just never keep them straight. Oh, yeah, so the next thing you really want to do is make sure you get with the appropriate professional. Here's the thing, a residential realtor, just always get with a pro. This is what we talk about in the real estate investment course all the time. If you don't know about it, the link's obviously below. But anyway, get with the appropriate professional. If you want to buy residential 2 to 4 real estate, like the duplex, triplex, fourplex, get with a realtor who's good at that. But not just somebody who's good at that. Get with somebody who actually invests in that kind of real estate as well. Why would you use a realtor that owns a bunch of single families and condos but doesn't own duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes to buy those? A new definition to dive bar. It's the Godiva bar. Bad jokes, bad jokes. Next thing, shop for real estate. And you don't have to kill yourself for this. Shopping for real estate is a part-time side hustle. You should just be looking at deals every day as they come on the market. And I mean, really, the time I spend looking at stuff that hits the market is maybe 30, 45 minutes a day. And I'm a pro doing this every day. It just doesn't take that long to catch up on the new stuff that hit the market every day if you're already familiar with what's out there. It's another reason it's good to sort of narrow your search and you're not looking at everything, getting overwhelmed with, I gotta look at 200 new listings today because you did all of LA County. Specialize, let your pro send you stuff, and analyze the good new stuff that comes up. And be ready to jump. Another favorite of mine is if you're wanting to buy something, like you need a pressure cooker, tell people you want to buy a pressure cooker. If nobody knows, then how is anybody supposed to help you pick out the right product? I mean, there's an ocean of stuff out there. You want to let people know. Let people know at, investment clubs, on forums for your area, for your region. Let other realtors know. Let people know at open houses. You know what? Go to the open house and give them a card and say, hey, I'm a real estate investor. I'm looking for deals on duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes, or I want 15-unit buildings. Call me up. Make it really like, how hard is it to order a Vistaprint business card? It's a joke. They do them for free for you oftentimes. Like, get 250 free. That's probably a promo code.
I've always been kind of embarrassed to invest or to tell people that I'm investing. But I guess what's the worst that's going to happen? Somebody's going to call me and say they have a deal for me to look at? It doesn't sound that bad.
Then you always want to, when you're looking for these real estate deals, find where you can find what I call a wedge opportunity in the rent. That is, you find this deal where maybe somebody who's owned a property for a really long time and they're kind of impatient, they don't really want to deal with tenants and toilets anymore, and they don't or haven't been raising the rent like they should have been.
Wait, this topic sounds familiar from another video you posted. I should check that one out again.
You find a deal like that where the rents are artificially below market value. You buy the property based on those rental figures, which if you're familiar with cap rates and gross rent multipliers, which we talk about in the investment course, a link below, then you know that the rents are what basically define market value for units. That's pretty different from single family like condos and townhouses.
You said jacking up the rent. That makes me think you're evil for raising the rents back to market value, even though that owner was probably just kind of clueless that the rents were way below market value. I guess the tenants were benefiting after all.
Now, there's always the opportunity to buy a wedge deal because of its condition with units as well. But generally with units, you're not going to get as much of a discount just because you go into a place and it has the original 70s oak cabinets and dirty, gross carpet and it smells, because investors aren't as emotional like home buyers are for condos, townhouses, and single family houses. So you won't get that much sort of cosmetic disparity or cosmetic wedging, that wedge opportunity we talk about in the live streams all the time, that you do get on single families, condos, townhouses, in multifamily, because the investors are just looking at it as a numbers thing. They don't really care about the condition of the property as much. So you could get a good deal on like a real beater, a real fixer-upper apartment building, but usually that's a lot less likely. You're better off getting something that's been remodeled and getting that for a discount. Rather, wedge the rent. Next step, negotiating. Folks, so many of us are afraid to negotiate in real estate. We think that's the asking price or multiple offers, this, that, or whatever. Know the game. Know what the seller's motivations are. Are they in a rush because they have to do an exchange? Are they in a rush because they're heirs and they just inherited this property and they gotta pay off, trust debts and things like that? Find out what the motivations are, but also understand what the competition is. Look, if you had a bunch of offers on this place, don't be that person that's like, oh, this is a $650,000 property and there are 7 offers on it. Well, I'm gonna offer them $625,000. Why are you even wasting your time writing the paper? It ain't gonna happen. You gotta be aggressive when you need to be aggressive. So really, you have to know when to negotiate, and surrounding yourself with a correct professional that can help you do that will help you a lot. Next step, much like qualifying children, you need to qualify the tenants. Never mind, you don't get to pick those, but you do get to pick tenants. See, here's the thing, when you buy a building, so many people are like, oh, I'm just gonna inherit the tenants. Look, they've been paying really well, but they forget to do some really important things. The number one most important thing, you gotta get a tenant estoppel certificate for every single tenant. That basically forces the tenants to sign something saying that the lease that they originally signed is what the agreement is, because you'll get a lot of cash and carry landlords that are like, yeah, mow the grass and I'll let you pay $100 less per month. So the lease still says the rent is $900 per month, but they're really only paying $800. And then when you inherit the tenant, you get a check for $800. You're like, wait a minute, where's my other $100? Oh yeah, I take care of the grass, but the grass is dead. Like, this is why you want to get the tenant estoppel certificate. In addition to that, what I like to do is I like to ask for all of the original credit screening documents. That is the tenant's application, the move-in photos, security deposit receipts, like all of that information. So that way, when that tenant leaves, I can still file a security deposit claim. A lot of tenants think, oh yeah, if the building transfers ownership, the new landlord won't know what the property was like beforehand, so I'll be able to get away with a lot more damage. Not with me.
I never thought about asking for the original move-in walkthroughs when I'm buying units. I guess I've been leaving money on the table.
You guys serve ice cream here? I'm looking for the largest vanilla ice cream cone I can get.
Okay, we make a system with that.
You think so? Let's do it. And then I'm gonna go outside and eat it.
Why outside? It's cold outside.
Last thing with tenants, if I don't like how the owners screen the tenants, then I'll actually give all of the tenants a new application every time a building transfers ownership, and we'll go through the whole application process again. And anybody that puts up a fight in the new application process, well, maybe that lease isn't getting renewed. Or rent increase time, it's like, well, who are the uncooperative tenants? It's a good way to sort of inspect how flexible the tenants are with a transition to new ownership when a building sells. I'd like the largest ice cream cone you've got.
Oh, we don't have ice cream right now.
Oh,
Sorry.
do you have McFlurries?
No ice cream. The machine's not working.
How's it not working?
Sorry.
Thanks. Thank you.
Second floor, going down. Floor 1.5, going down. Floor one.
So many people, they get into units, they do all their numbers, and then guess what they don't do? How you doing, sir? Have a good night. They don't do their inspections. They think like, oh yeah, the owner doesn't seem to have any maintenance issues with the roof and doesn't seem to have any problems with anything. There shouldn't be a problem. You've got to get your inspections when you get into these multifamily deals, especially. So many people say to me, oh, well, multifamily is so much better than single family because you have the benefit of scale. Well, not really. I mean, come on, look at it. A condo benefits from just as much scale as a 4-unit apartment building does. If anything, it is cheaper for you to own a condo, pay the association dues, than own a 4-unit building and have to replace a roof on 4 units. People are like, oh, well, it's one roof. You know, single family house, you have one roof too. Yeah, but you got a bigger roof usually on that per dollar of rent you're getting. So people can be funny with some of the conclusions they make. It all comes down to the numbers and the inspections. So get things, expensive stuff, especially on units. Get this stuff verified. Foundation, electrical system, plumbing system. You want grounded electrical. You want a foundation that's not cracking like crazy, and you don't want galvanized plumbing. You want copper or PEX. You want these modern amenities in your buildings. And when you can find properties like this where they already have pane windows, maybe they're ugly inside the units, but the expensive stuff is done, like a 1950s purchase. Hey, come on, I'm trying to film here. Thank you. Then you don't have to worry about spending all that money in the future. There is ice on this railing. Next thing, guys, make sure you get all of your contractor bids for any kind of renovations up front, as well as Get your management in order. If you're gonna manage the property yourself, at least get bids on what management companies locally, like professional management companies, would charge to manage your building. Because folks, you might get tired of managing the buildings one day yourself, and you might think, you know what, I'm just gonna give this to a manager. And you want your numbers to still work out, because sometimes it just gets a little cold and not as desirable to do what you've been doing. Next, you gotta execute the game plan, which sounds really basic, but quite frankly, you need to have a game plan. So many people are like, oh, it's closing in a week, and you haven't even let your tenants know yet where to send their new rent checks because they're sending them to you instead of the old owner. You haven't started setting up your contractors for little repairs or renovations and things. Get all that stuff done before you're closing. Every single day that goes by that you own a property and you don't have stuff happening, you're losing money. Have some simple business common sense and stop wasting money with inaction. So that means if you're going to be living in a property, like the duplex, or you're gonna house hack a triplex or fourplex, and you're gonna renovate your unit, hop to it. Get that stuff scheduled to start the day you close, and you get that one tenant out, or you're taking over that one vacant unit or whatever. Get that work started so you can stop paying rent to a different landlord.
Huh, I guess I never thought about it from a per day point of view. Every day vacant is money out of my pocket after all.
Much like jewelry, you gotta make sure it's insured. And I don't just mean regular insurance. I mean, you need to have a really good insurance policy for the building. Then you should have an umbrella insurance policy to cover any excess beyond that insurance policy. Obviously check with an insurance agent for proper insuring guidelines and tips and all that stuff. The last thing you might consider doing, because this comes up a lot, and guaranteed you're gonna be doing this if you go with the partnership option, is you wanna make sure the property's in like an LLC or something that's going to protect the property from other people's liability, especially in the partnerships. See, let's say I decided to sit in this chair and then I got sued by Samsung for videotaping in their booth that I wasn't supposed to. And I'm in a partnership with you. Well, unless we have that building partnership in an LLC, it is possible that if I lose that lawsuit, I could have my assets, that is my partnership claim, attached from that lawsuit, which means you, a partnership with me, would be bad. Unless we had a partnership like an LLC.
Whoa. So if I'm in a partnership with somebody and we don't have an LLC and then they get sued, that could be bad because now that random lawsuit could get mixed up. I guess I should follow Kevin's advice and talk to an attorney. That gets kind of complicated.
Last step, repeat the process. You gotta do this over and over again. Keep doing partnerships, keep buying real estate, keep doing it. Don't stop. And if you really want to know some tricks that are going to save you a ton of money, buy the real estate investment course. Join me. Let me help you analyze your deals.